Just as it is today, 50 years ago, Tower Bridge was busy with pedestrians and traffic. A double-decker bus was driving across the bridge and suddenly a jet fighter flew through it at 400 miles an hour, terrifying everybody on the bridge. The notorious Tower Bridge incident is recalled by the pilot himself, Alan Pollock.
It was absolutely enchanting. I mean, sort of flying down the river. It's like a model village.
In 1968, Alan Pollock was a pilot in the RAF. He was especially disappointed by the cuts by the government. And also, with the 50th anniversary of the RAF coming up very soon, there was no flybys organised or nothing. It was just going to go past without any celebration at all. So, he decided to take matters into his own hands.
I'd been very careful with the noise and the way I flew until I was actually over Parliament. And then, it seemed the right thing to do to make a lot of noise right over their heads. So they knew that we still had an air force.
He continued flying down the river as it seemed the safest way to leave London, but he'd forgotten all about Tower Bridge until he found himself right upon it.
I could see, this London bus crossing and that made me think about whether I should fly over the top, and then I realised that, there's plenty of space there, and I think it was just under about 2.5 seconds then I had. But it was plenty of time, to sort of think what I'd do. It wasn't exactly extraordinary and difficult thing to do at all, if you were in current practice.
But Pollock was known as an extraordinary airman. Michael Rondo was also in the RAF. He recalls.
Somebody came into the pilot's crew room and said, somebody's just flown a hunter through Tower Bridge. And as one voice, the room said, Pollock. Only Pollock could have done it or would have done it and did do it.
But his bosses were not amused. He was given a medical discharge from the RAF, but he received overwhelming support from the public despite the risks of what he did. So, in today's show, what we are going to try and do is recreate Alan Pollock's flight from takeoff to where he bashed up a couple of airfields en route to London, and then his flight over London, and then ultimately his flight through Tower Bridge. Now, he did it in a Hawker Hunter in 1968. DCS doesn't have a Hawker Hunter, but it has an F16, and being my plane of choice, I'm going to try it in an F16. So, let's get into the show. Alright, first up, Alan Pollock. He left Tangmere and flew over the channel, and the first thing we're going to do is we are going to bash up Tangmere. Now, bashing up Tangmere is a term that you'll know, it's a British term, but the Americans would sort of know it from Maverick when he says permission to buzz the tower, and they say no, and he does. So he basically bashes up the airfield. So here we come into Tangmere, about 600 knots at least. Bit of aerobatics. The noise would be incredible. Now look, he knew he was going to do this from the get-go, right? So from when he woke up that morning, he knew what was going to happen, and subsequently all this was pre-planned, even the turning off his radio and stuff later on. So in the plane, we now are looking towards Portsmouth and the Isle of Wight over there on the right of the picture, and we're going to hunt for the next airfield. Now, the next airfield was Dunsfold. This was the head of Hawker Hunter, but due to DCS's problems as such, they don't have Dunsfold, but they do have Farnborough, which is a very similar airport. So what we're going to do is we are going to use Farnborough. So we're flying in here now. I see all the Hawker factories there, and what he wanted to do was he wanted everyone in the factory to know that they were valued, and what they did was they made great products, because at this point in time the British government was just letting the RAF be underfunded. They dropped the TSR2, which is a really, really sad thing, and it was really bad. It was a bad time for the RAF, and that's why our friend Alan Pollock decided he would make his stand. So what we're going to do now is we are going to come into what we're calling Dunsfold, and we are going to bash up the airfield. Coming in now, going to get some speed up. Nobody knew he was there. And we are going to hit it. Come on. That's it. Increasing speed. 500 nearly. Come on, lad. Fantastic. Whoa! That wakes everyone up today, doesn't it? Boom! Now, he wasn't finished with this, and yeah, as you can see, I'm not finished with it either, because what he was a master of aerobatics, and he particularly liked inverted flying, as in upside down. So he came round for a second pass and decided he would do it upside down or inverted. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the plane, get some height, we're going to get inverted, fly over the airfield fast as you can, and don't forget, this is really difficult inverted flying, because obviously the whole control surfaces are the wrong way around, so it takes a bit of getting used to. So again, over the airfield, inverted, here comes the noise. That was wicked. And now we're going to head into London. So we've done 2 airfields now. 2 of them have been bashed up. Off we go. So now we're heading towards Heathrow, which is on our left-hand side. But don't forget, this is a 1940s map. So Heathrow actually is it's a crappy little airfield, to be honest with you. And so what we're doing is looking at the cockpit of our F16, and we're looking towards London. Now, I know London very well because I was born and raised there, so I know all the sights and all the sounds. So as we come into London, we're going to follow the Thames in from the west, heading east. There's a couple of points to look out for. Big one is Battersea Power Station. That's massive. That's on our right hand side here, and we are aiming for the Houses of Parliament. Here comes the power. Full afterburner. Now this is going to really wake up everybody in Parliament. So he wasn't quite finished there because he was really annoyed at Parliament. So what he decided was he was going to do a couple of circuits. And look how small, he even said it himself, London's like a little matchbox city, isn't it? When you consider how big the place is, from this height we're only like 3,000 feet up. Look how small everything looks, even the bridges. So again, looking at Battersea Power Station in front of us, that's the kind of waypoint, and if you aim our little plane in the HUD, we're going to come past the Houses of Parliament again. This is going to be our second pass, just from a different angle. Whoa, love it. Little roll. Now you forget how small you are in that plane and how big the city is. And at 575 knots an hour, you really get to go over the city fast. So you've got to keep a good eye on where you're going. Really got to concentrate. So we're going to come around again, because we haven't finished with them lot yet. The funny thing is, well, they were debating noise pollution at the time as well. Let's locate it. There's St Paul's. You've seen it on the right. That's it. We're coming in now. I think we're coming in north of the city. We get my bearings. That's a good tight turn. Losing a bit of speed. There's Tower Bridge. We're going to come round and we've got another buzz. Beautiful. Here we go. Probably shattered all the windows in the Houses of Parliament. Right, big pull up. Look over to our left hand side and what do you see? Docklands and the Isle of Dogs. Now a very different place these days, Docklands and the Isle of Dogs. Obviously Canary Wharf and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, look, we're coming up here and we decided we're going to make another pass. But, oh yeah, look what's on the right hand side. Can you see it? Yeah, I can see it. You fancy doing that? I reckon I can do it. And Pollock thought the same thing. He'd done so many low-level sorties, he knew he could do this. So I come in hard, I'm losing speed in the turn. I'm going to line up the little plane with the middle of Tower Bridge. Coming in, diving in at it. I think he was lower than me. At this point in time, I'm terrified I'm going to crash the plane into the side of it, but bring the plane up and here we go, straight in the guts of it. Bang! Full afterburner. That's it. And a victory roll as well to boot. Superb. Anyway, that's woke London up and they're probably going to be quite pissed off about who is flying around this little jet plane and making all this noise. But as you can see, my fuel is running out because I've been using the afterburner quite a lot, even though I have got wing tanks and such. But yeah, it's time to find a landing spot. Now, Alan Pollock went up to Essex and buzzed a couple more airfields on his way to where he was going to land. We're going to head down towards Manston, and Manston is straight ahead. So there we go, Manston Airport, right in front of us now. Lovely Manston. Big and wide and long, makes for a novice like me landing relatively easy because I do struggle with the landing. Wheels down, beautiful. I'm going to turn to the right and we're going to aim for the runway. Come on in, that's must admit, landing is fantastic in this thing. So bring it down to around about 200 knots. Now please correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I'm not doing too bad, I don't think, at the moment. Bring it in and try keep the nose up, lose some speed, and then park it up and see what happens. So here we come into the runway. Should have been a little straighter there, but okay, we can do that. We're at 2.5 degrees, which is something I've really need to do. Little wobble, here we go, and probably coming in a bit late on the airfield, but here we go, and we are just about to touch down. Right, let's turn and pull off, and here we go. Alan Pollock, he was arrested upon landing and put in a holding cell for a couple of days. He was subsequently invalided out of the RAF on medical grounds. This avoided a court-martial and the embarrassment to the government of Pollock publicising the reason for his stunt and perhaps receiving the support of the public. But other people heard about it. BOAC, the precursor of British Airways, they sent him a keg of beer. And he did get a lot of support. So, Alan Pollock, it's been a pleasure recreating your flight, mate.